All right, our next speaker this morning is a man that about 3 years ago I almost went to work for. I was being recruited by Nielsen to move to the Middle East and to work with Hany Mwafy in managing the Nielsen operations in North Africa and the Middle East. And you know, the only person I could ever think of that I may have called boss that I actually really like. So Hany was gracious enough to fly over from Dubai, and he's going to talk to us about the Arab Spring and the impact of technology, and you guys are going to love him. He's awesome. So, Hany,
thanks, Lenny.
Yours. Thank you.
Good morning. Okay, there was a plan to have a bold and beautiful this morning. My partner Perry was supposed to be here, so you're ending up with the bold without the beautiful. Okay, so God help you guys. Okay, this is one of the most bizarre titles I've ever seen. I had a call a talk with Lenny, and he said, Hany, you know what? Let's talk about the Arab Spring. Let's talk about the market research and the Middle East to put the whole thing together. I said, ooh, this is a pulp fiction, definitely. So I will simplify the whole thing and look at opportunities, Middle East, social media, and research different, okay? I come from Egypt, previously known with this picture, and today it's known with a completely different picture, okay? We reinvented the revolution, and I was privileged enough to live and survive a revolution, and I tell beautiful stories about it only at the bar, okay? I worked for Nielsen, I worked for corporate, I've seen the world from two different perspectives, white with black stripes, black with white stripes. But I figured out one thing, that there is only beautiful way and ugly way. And I decided to do things that I really enjoy doing most. So I work with different companies, Cambridge Martin College, Brand Finance, and Genius, to identify new opportunities for them in the Middle East. And I'm a co-founder and partner for this little beautiful male peacock, not a little bird, on the left. It's a research boutique that was founded by two of the most professional researchers in the Middle East a year and a half ago, on the month of the revolution, and they had a big idea. I joined them, and we decided to do things differently. Simply put, today, it's a band of 12, and we proud ourselves that we love what we're doing, okay? And we're planning to put different shades of color in what we do, research in the Middle East. So let's talk Middle East. What is the first thing that comes to your mind when we say Middle East? And guys, believe what you see on TV, news, and Hollywood pictures about the Middle East. It's religion, it's rage, it's violence, it's wealth, it's money. It's too many things. But reality is, Middle East is a little bit different. Middle East is, we hear a lot of things, we see a lot of things, but the reality is totally different. So we'll put some facts ahead, and we'll leave the reality for us to conclude. What is a research presentation without a graph? Okay. 2009, 2010, the Economist Intelligence Unit looked at the world differently. I said that, okay, fine. In 50s and 60s, Europe and the US were leading the global growth. 70s, 80s, it was the Far East, Asian tigers, and then later came the BRIC. What is next? They thought of the N11, and they're stuck. But however, they ranked the Middle East at the third growth potential region globally. Why? 380 million consumers. That will double by 2050. It's the fastest growing region in the world, ahead of India. Diverse, extremely diverse. We're talking about the top 10 of Africa. You have the Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia. You have Libya, you have Egypt, you have the Levant, you have the Gulf countries, the petro-money countries. But is it diverse the same way Asia is diverse, or South Asia is diverse, or God forbid, Europe? No. It's very much similar to the US. They buy the same, they watch the same, they speak the same language. The median age in the Middle East is 25. It's a very young nation, very young. Different than Germany, where the median age, I think, 70 now. Okay, and the youth, they are digital natives, not digital immigrants, by all means, okay? We're talking about 90% on mobile, 50% of them use mobile internet, and the time spent on the internet doubled after the revolution. That's different. So you either look at a country like Egypt, where 40% live under the poverty line, or 40% have an internet-enabled mobile penetration. Up to you. GE, you know this company, General Electric? It's big. They were the first, okay, to harness this outsourcing, which I hate most. Okay, they were the first to go to China. They're always the first to see things differently. Okay, they admitted that there is slow growth in China, and now it's the time to look at different growth regions, and they identified the Middle East as one of the key regions, put $150 million in Saudi manufacturing there. That means there is something going to happen in the Middle East very soon. Okay, and the opportunities is up for us to identify and to capture. The Arab Spring. I tell beautiful stories about the Arab Spring in the Bar. It's something massive happened there. Out of an outlier country, it's called Tunisia, okay, a revolution broke in December 2010, 2011, January, Egypt, and then in a few months it was everywhere. A few months later, in London, riots, in a way that has been said it's unprecedented, where James Cameron went out of 10 Downing Street saying that when it comes to national security, don't talk to me about human rights. Okay. Few months later, by the end of 2011, 133 countries witnessed protests, all carried by the social media. So I think if there is one observation here, it will be the rediscovery of the social media. Okay. And it's only one thing that I've identified in this is a personal view, is the disruption. And in my opinion, what the social media will do, the mankind, will be very similar to what the print did to the mankind. It's ways beyond connect and communicate. It's shaping how we view things, how we react to everything. And it's a network of human norms disruption. And if it does one thing, it accelerates the tipping point. It's taken us to something completely new, okay? We're focusing on the moment of truth all the time. I think now we need to look at the naked truth, okay? And there is something ironically funny here, okay? Corporates, or companies, they look at consumers, and let's label them people, okay? I find it's more human to say people, that they know everything about them. While people, they look at companies that they know everything about them, okay? The second observation is the critical few, not the insignificant many, okay? And if we take the example of the Egyptian revolution, on the 25th of Jan, only 50,000 people, noontime, went to the street. By midnight, there were 150 on 25th, 150,000. Friday, 2 million. The following week, 10 million. 10 million influenced the 70 million, the insignificant many. Let me introduce you to the oldest woman in Egypt. Her name is Fatima. She witnessed 3 kings, 4 presidents, and 3 revolutions. And it was her first time in her life to go to the voting box, voting for a president. She did not go in the previous 3 revolutions to vote. The effect of the social media, I am not sure about that. Social media is all about lots of stuff. Data, text, numbers. But in my opinion, if we are facing a challenge, it's not the challenge of the information overflow as much as the filter failure. And we are stuck, corporate companies, because we still think in a linear format, looking at faster, better, and cheaper. We are not embracing something which I believe should be the next big thing. It's not the know-how, it's the know-who. Okay? It's the new consumer, the new person who is going to change our life dramatically. It's something completely new and novel and different for the research. We've learned how to ask consumers or respondents. We used to look at them as a cell in a segment, or a data point in a tracker, or a respondent in a focus group room. I think we should look at them differently, and we should stop asking them. We should start listening to what they're saying. We should look beyond the obvious when we filter the information, and it's the role of the critical few, not the insignificant many. Okay. Outliers have been always neglected when it comes to research. Say, look at the mainstream, not the outliers. I think this is going to change, and the outliers is going to be the main focus rather than the mainstream. It's different, but by all means, I strongly believe that the next is not going to be a straightforward thinking. It has to be a curved bullet, where we can do things differently and get different results as well. Okay? That's all about it. A few time, and I only answer the questions I like.
Do you think the extreme speed and impact of social media in the Middle East that was it seems like it's unprecedented, wouldn't happen there if it weren't for the conditions that were going on there? I mean, everything, it was sort of like a perfect storm of everything sort of happening at once. I just wanted your impression
Yeah,
on that.
absolutely. If there was no social media, this won't happen, by all means. By all means. Okay, I know Wael Ghunaim, the Google dude, personally, okay, and the other activists as well. Without the social media, this won't happen. And look at it, same like the education. Without the print, would have been educated the same way we are today. Definitely. We can look at the social media as the main carrying capacity for what happened.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple of unrelated questions, so I'll just ask them all. The first is I'd love for you to elaborate on the idea that it's the outliers who will become the focus and sort of the ones we really need to learn from. Secondly, I'm curious about social media and actually purchasing power and women. And what is the internet access of women in the Middle East as compared to men? So I'll limit to those two.
Okay. On the first question, the outliers. Let's look at Egypt. You're talking a population of 80 million people. Okay, and I don't want you to look at the outliers alone. Look at the outliers and the perfect moment, okay, where the tipping point happens. Okay, and what the social media does is only accelerate this tipping point. So looking at Egypt, you're talking about 50,000 people. This is the outlier who influenced quickly, okay, the 150, then the 2 million, then the 10 million. Okay, so in research, usually we don't look at the outliers. Okay, we tend to look at the mainstream, and in my opinion, the mainstream is a passive power that's just waiting for the perfect moment of truth or the naked truth to be moved. The second question is about the penetration of internet. It doubles almost every year. Okay, and it depends from which country or region you're looking at. But the penetration in the Gulf and Egypt is higher than the penetration of in North Africa, but the penetration also amongst women, okay, as high as men. Okay. Youth, it's similar.
So would it be safe to say that the really when we're talking about your thoughts on outliers, that what we're really talking about is influence and virability?
The influencers, absolutely. The influencers.
Which is a topic that we avoid quite a bit in market research and are just beginning to get a handle on. So we'll talk about more about that this afternoon in the social media panel. But there was an action, ultimately. Beth?
Yeah, I'm curious. I've done a lot of primary research, consumer research in the last 6 years. And one of the challenges we've had really is the Middle East when it comes to recruiting people, whether pretty much no matter what form of data collection we use. Are there any things you can share with us in terms of making life a lot easier in working in the Middle East for both quant and qualitative research?
Use iQual? Is that your answer?
Yeah, okay. Here is the Middle East. It's a tough nut to crack. We have to understand this. Okay, it's not easy to do business in the Middle East. It's not easy to grow your business in the Middle East. And there is a code. Okay, and the secret to this code is who you're working with, not very much what you are doing. Okay, and this is my take. I ran the Nielsen business in the Middle East, and before that, I was leading the BP business, Martin Wise, in the Middle East, and it's whom you're working with. But you can get whatever you want in the Middle East. With iQual, we're the first agency to do political research in the Middle East. Never, ever political research was done. Okay, it's the people who are behind the stuff. That's it. But it's never difficult. It's not easy. Just choose the right partner to work with and the right people in the partner. Okay, it's not arm's length as well. The relationship with the Middle East, with the people you do business with, should not be arm's length.
Will the Middle East be and I want to elaborate on her question, will the Middle East be restricted by, I just got back from Kuala Lumpur last year, or a couple of years ago, and they are building the world's biggest and most conservative mosque just south of Kuala Lumpur. And just in the 5-6 years between my first visit to Kuala Lumpur and the second, it looked to me like that the women were being restricted a lot more. I do notice in Mali at Timbuktu, they are bulldozing the Sufi tombs there at Timbuktu that go back hundreds and thousands of years. And it always looks like they're very, very much restricting 50% of their population. and it looks like it's increasing, not decreasing. That's my observation of the Middle East, visiting there last 5 years.
I would say
how
it's
would you assess that?
No, it's happening on the margins. If you look at Timbuktu, it's a case, special case, very similar to Afghanistan, where we left that chance for Taliban just to play over there. Nothing beyond that. But if you look at the Middle East, on the contrary, it's opening up. Look at Saudi, the Olympic 2012. They are sending women. Though women still cannot drive in Saudi, okay, but they are sending women to the Olympic Games. Okay. Look at Emirates. You have few ministers there. They are losing their veil, okay, in the news. Again, it's you know, the Gabriel, what the eyes see, what the ears hear, the mind believes. But there is a reality check. Are there opportunities there? Absolutely. Okay, 380 million exposed. They buy the same, they watch the same, they speak the same language. Okay, what we are witnessing now, I don't know if I can extrapolate this or not. It might be similar to what the Civil War did to the US 250 years ago. And we are yet to witness the impact of that. And in my own personal opinion, I think these waves and tides will have a global impact on the way things happen. Okay. Again, it happens in January in Egypt. Few weeks later, it was everywhere in the Middle East. Few months later, it was in the UK, in London. By the end of the year, 133 countries. But is the Middle East going to be a place where you don't go and play there? I don't think this will be a smart idea. And if we are to benchmark, because we like benchmarking, okay, look at GE. As simple as that.
Well, thank you, Hany, very much.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks, Vinny.